Welcome to Landlord Diaries, where we talk about midterm rentals and the opportunities behind them. We'll share landlord stories, talk about maximizing investment potential, and discuss how to live the very best landlord life. This podcast is proudly brought to you by Furnished Finder, the place for everything midterm rentals. Remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy our content.
We are back with another wonderful, encouraging, excellent, exciting episode of the Landlord Diaries. It's your host, Kelly Bailey and Katie Lyon from the Furnished Finder marketing team with Midterm Rentals in Texas, Iowa. Where else are you, Katie?
All my midterms are in Iowa right now.
Perfect.
I have properties elsewhere, but all the midterms are in the good old Midwest.
Well, Katie, who do we have with us today?
Today we get to talk with Angelenna, and Angelenna she has a really unique perspective because she's also a very successful realtor. So she walks us through her process that she takes clients through for identifying and securing their very own rental property. So it's really interesting to see, the process, the steps she goes through, and very informative, good note-taking episode. And I'm excited for everyone to hear this one.
Today we talk with Angelenna Grant-Ashanti in Atlanta, Georgia. Angelenna is a top producing real estate agent in Atlanta, midterm rental investor, and MTR coach for her clients. Angelenna helps clients find the right property, renovate it, and list it on Furnished Finder. We just so appreciate you being with us today, Angelenna. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you guys?
Good, doing great. The weather's starting to change in Texas, so I'm excited.
It won't be melting much longer.
Not for much longer. So, Angelenna, you have a really powerful story. You grew up in a family of real estate investors. You found yourself on welfare at 21. You bought your first real estate investment property at 23, and now you sell millions in real estate every year and have 23,000 followers on Instagram that soak up your real estate content. So give us that story. Like, how did you get started? How did you find yourself on welfare? And, wrap us up with how you've become who you are today.
Okay, so I grew up in rural Georgia with my grandparents on a farm that they owned. So they already owned they owned the land, they owned the farm. We had pigs, we had, we grew our own food and everything. So I grew up watching them own that property and tend to it. My mother always lived in Atlanta, and she came to visit me every other weekend. She was a teenage mom when she had me, so my grandparents raised me. So my mom actually bought a property when she was 26 years old. And once I was 15, I moved with my mom. I went from seeing my grandparents own their property to now moving in with my mom, who's now young, in I think her early 30s, and the property that she owned at 26, we lived there. I watched her. It was like every 2 to 3 years, she would pull money out of the property. It was almost like a cash cow. I watched her do it. I watched my grandparents do it. And the only thing I did know was home ownership growing up. Another thing that I watched my mother do was turn that property into income property. So we had 3 bedrooms. My mother always said, if you have an extra bedroom, you got a moneymaker. So she always rented out that additional bedroom to help pay the mortgage in that home.
What type of people stayed with y'all?
My mom worked at a plant. She worked at Keebler Cookies when I was growing up.
Oh, yum, delicious.
Yeah, so we got to eat cookies all the time. And she would bring home coworkers because it was like if someone needed a place to stay, they came and stayed with my mom. It was not like anyone that we didn't trust. It was always somebody that was, became like we call it family, like a friend that's part of the family. So that's what they became. That was early on. And then once I graduated from high school, which I graduated high school in Atlanta, didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, kind of bounced around, was irresponsible, and then ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, who is now 30, who I love dearly. And when I got pregnant with her, my mother, she did what she should have done. She was very strict and she was not playing with me with that. I was not about to live in her house and have a child. So once my daughter was born, she actually got me my first apartment. She paid the first month's rent, the last month's rent, and the deposit, and let me take my bedroom set and my TV with me. And I struggled. I mean, and while I was struggling, I had to get on welfare to take care of me and my daughter. And one of the reasons why, it wasn't that my family would not support me. If I'd gone to my family and told them that this is what I was going through, I would have had their full support. But I'm independent. I don't want to hear anyone's mouth, because once you start asking for stuff, then they ask you questions and you got to explain. And I wasn't in a place in my life where I wanted to explain anything. So I did what I had to do. At that point, I was working in the medical field, and I met um, a lady. Her name was TT, and I still love her to today. And she just saw something in me, and she told me, "You need to buy a property." And I was looking at her like, "I'm 23 years old. I'm not buying a property." But she was from California. She owned a condo in California, and she just kept telling me about how she kept it rented. She could always pull money from it, and it was like a cash cow for her. She would not let up until I bought this property. So I was ashamed to come to work and say, like she would say every day, where are we? Where are we? And I was ashamed to say, well, I don't want to do it anymore. And so since I was afraid to say it, I just went along with it. She hooked me up with a loan officer, realtor, and everything. And so that's how I ended up buying my first property at 23. But the caveat to that is, the way that I was able to afford it was by doing the same exact thing that my mom had taught me. So I had a 3-bedroom. I had a bedroom, my daughter had a bedroom, and I rented that 3rd bedroom out to my friend, who's my very good friend right now. So she helped me take care of that property at 23, and that's how I became an investor and really my first income property at 23 years old. So that's my story. Once I got to that point, I was able to get myself together, and I wasn't on welfare anymore. So that was the beginning of my real estate career.
I love it.
I
2
love
follow-up
that.
questions. I think your daughter has a midterm rental and is also in real estate as well, maybe in the Washington, D.C. area. Is that correct?
She is. She actually she owns a property that she does a midterm rental on in Nashville, Tennessee. But in DC, she does the Airbnb arbitrage. She does that in DC, and she does it also in Orlando.
Got it.
So she's doing very well. My 30-year-old daughter, yes. So
Love it.
it's just going from one generation to the next.
Yep.
I
Okay.
love
And then
that.
my second part, Keebler products. That's pretty cool. Do you have a favorite cookie that they produce?
I can't remember. It was
That's
so
okay.
long ago. I think it was the one that was a cookie on the front and then it had the chocolate on the back.
Yep. I
You
remember
remember which
those.
one I'm talking about?
Yep.
You
Those are
guys are making
tasty.
me hungry.
That's something you haven't done yet, Katie. You could totally open up a
I
bag and
totally
ship,
should just
but
like start like munching
yeah, we
everyone.
might get a bad
Actually, it's
review,
like,
but if you're hungry,
yeah,
right?
if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Come on, people. All right, Angelina, tell us, if you were to, you look back, and I'm sure you spent a lot of time kind of reflecting on your past and how far you've come. If you were to look at 21-year-old Angelina, maybe when you were at the lowest of the low, what advice would you give her that you wish you knew then?
To listen to your parents. Because I
Hear
was
that,
a
all those
little,
kids? All
yes,
those kids, listen up.
I was rebellious. I will admit that I was rebellious. I was a wildflower. I liked to do whatever I wanted to do, and just wherever the wind took me, that's where I went when I was 21 years old. I was very irresponsible. I would also tell my 21-year-old self that I wish I would have graduated and went and had the college experience. That's another thing that I wish that I would have done, but I did not do that. I ended up getting my real estate license and going in that direction. So I never, I didn't go to college early on in life.
And then do you have any advice for parents listening? Because we're probably getting more parents than we are kids on the show.
So advice for parents, I have 3 girls. When they turn 25 or 26, they come back. They become your best friend again. They become your daughter again. They love you again. It comes back.
That's encouraging, because my daughter is 7 and I'm already terrified for the teenage years, because I swear she's already like a 15-year-old packed into a teeny tiny little body. But if you mess with her, oh man, like she's going to have no issues holding her own, but I
She's
have to try to
sassy.
survive. She is so
Yeah.
sassy.
The teenage years are hard. So yeah, they do come back though.
Oh, good. That's
So
good to hear.
now where you are now, you sell millions of dollars in real estate annually. You've got a large Instagram network with like 23,000 followers. It's not midterm rental focused, but it is real estate focused. So, what's going on right now in life? What are your focuses? And I think you have some advice for creative ways to find properties right now since interest rates are going up as well.
Yeah, the thing that we're having to go to right now are the builders. The builders are who have the creative ways of financing. They're willing to buy their rate down for you. So if you can get in a situation with a builder that's willing to buy the rate down, like in the Georgia area, we've had builders to buy the rate down to a 4.99% interest rate, which is great because the going rate is a 7.25. And that's what I try to tell clients. A lot of people are so set on that 2% interest rate. If you got it, that's great, but it's gone. It's not here. A 4.99, a 5.25 is a great interest rate if you can get that from a builder right now. So that's the creative. Working with the builders is going to be the way to get the lower interest rates right now. There are some sellers that are willing to pay that fee, but the fee is pretty steep. So you will come out better going with a builder to get them to pay your rate down, to buy your rate down, than you will a resale. So that's the way to go right now if you want a lower interest rate.
Awesome. So Angelina, tell us a little bit about your portfolio, how you've grown your portfolio throughout the years, and a little bit about each property, if you would.
Today's episode is proudly sponsored by Furnished Finder, the ultimate platform for hassle-free midterm rentals. Whether you're a seasoned landlord or just getting started, Furnished Finder is the place for you. With Furnished Finder, you can say goodbye to booking fees and hello to direct bookings for 30-day plus stays. It's a win-win for everyone involved. So if you're ready to experience the joys of midterm renting and take a load off your landlord's shoulders, head over to FurnishedFinder.com today. We make it easy to get started. We're grateful to Furnished Finder for sponsoring this episode, and we're sure you'll love what they have in store for you.
I started out with the townhouse and then got married, and my husband, he owned a townhouse as well. So we sold both of the townhouses and bought the family home, which is where I am now, and it's where the family lives. Outside of that property, we own a property in Buckhead that we do as it's a condo that we actually renovated, and we do a midterm rental. There is an executive living there right now, and we got her through Furnished Finder. And the second property, we have a condo with panoramic views that is in Midtown that we live in, and we also rent out for film. They actually filmed. They actually did the shoot for the first day of the Freaknik documentary at our property.
Which documentary?
The background Freaknik.
Okay.
Did you hear about the Freaknik documentary with Jermaine Dupri?
I don't know about that.
No, you didn't. Okay, so if you Google Jermaine Dupri and the Freaknik documentary, the background that you see with all the windows and the panoramic view of the city of Atlanta, that's our property.
Cool.
So,
how fun!
Yeah, so we've done several movie shoots there, and then we live there back and forth too. We have 2 properties on the east side of Atlanta that are regular rentals. We're in the process for 2024 of from watching your podcast of changing one of those properties over to a midterm rental for insurance purposes.
Oh, good.
I love that.
Yes, and then we have 2 other properties that are in near the airport, near Camp Creek Parkway, which is a hot area because a lot of people like that area because it's near the airport and not too far from the city. One of the properties is a ranch on a basement. The ranch we rent out as regular rental. The basement we turn into a midterm rental, and it's worked out perfectly. We've done really well with that property. And then the last property that we have on the south side of town is a regular rental. So right now we have 3 regular rentals and 3 short-term, midterm rentals. And then we have our personal property that we live in.
So do you find with your real estate clients you have to constantly explain what midterm is? Like, do they all try to just call everything short term that's under a year?
Yes, everything is short term. But when I start talking to them about midterm, everybody's excited. It's like something new, something innovative, and something that they feel that they can do well in. It's not as much turnover as the Airbnb. That's what a lot of people. It's not the stability that you get from the long term rental. It's like in between, so you get a little bit of both. You make more money with the midterm rental without the hassle of all the turnover with the short term rental. So yes.
Yeah, I think I was even talking to someone today about our own personal renters, and they're like, well, are you like, do your properties get trashed? How do you manage all the turnovers? And had all these questions. And I'm like, no. Like, that's not what we're doing here. And there's nothing wrong with short-term rentals. I think that's clear. You do make more profits, right? You make more profits, but really it's that you earn more profits because you're handling a lot more turnovers. You're handling potentially, and it's never a guarantee, but more damage to your property. You're definitely having more wear and tear just from people coming in and out. But yeah, it's you earn that. But even with midterm rentals, it's more work than a long term. So you're right. I think those are good things for everyone to always remember.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. So when did you see value in the midterm rental strategy and choose to start pursuing it yourself?
COVID.
Oh, that was such a fast answer. Tell us. I feel like there's a lot more to that. Tell us more.
COVID is when you're stuck in the house and you're just thinking and you're talking to all of your friends that call you. Like I have two friends that call me with ideas that make me think every single morning of my life. They keep me on my toes, and then I have my daughter. She does it. So we're all just thinking, what are we going to do? How can we make these properties run better? I had a property during that time where someone just decided to stay and not pay. And we went a whole year in a long-term rental with someone living in our property and not paying. And that just left a bad taste in my mouth. So we started out with the property that's like around the corner from us. I had someone lived there, they left. It was a ranch on a basement. We'd had that property since 2006, never got the basement finished. So I was like, why don't I start using properties that we have and make the most of those instead of adding to my portfolio? Mm-hmm. So that was the first thing that I did. I was like, why don't I get a tenant in there that's okay with us doing renovations at the bottom, that's going to be okay with me renting the bottom as well? What I do is I pay the water bill, I keep the grass cut, I pay the trash. So that way it's a win-win. There's things that I've taken off your plate, there's things that you've taken off my plate. So we ended up getting that basement finished. And we added steps that went down, like you pull into the driveway, you walk down the steps. We got the backyard gated, and it just ended up being a beautiful product. And as soon as we got it on Furnished Finder, we just got it stayed booked, just stayed full. And after the first person stayed, it was like taking candy from a baby. So I wanted another.
COVID was such an interesting time because like it was challenging for the entire world, right? But like from a business perspective, I saw COVID through the eyes of commercial real estate because I was in commercial real estate at the time. But I think these principles really apply to anyone in any aspect of business or goals or anything. It was really the time where it's like, okay, you're up to bat. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. It was the time where those who were creative and scrappy and full of good ideas and implementation really rose to the top. And it was the time where we saw where if there was businesses that were maybe not having their best practices, they struggled. It became really transparent. But there was this opportunity within COVID to like sit back and be like, okay, what opportunities do we have here? What new things can we try? And I always think that like the business world got pushed forward 5 years during COVID, right? Like all of a sudden a lot of us are able to work remotely. We're all doing these things that maybe we would have eventually gotten around to, but that pushed everyone to just do it kind of faster and get on with it. So I think that's really cool. A lot of people think midterm rentals got more popular during COVID because people were working from home more. If they didn't have room for an office, they needed to go rent an apartment to have an office or whatnot. And nurses, huge demand for nurses and physicians during that time, which that's all true. But there's also the other side of it where there's time to get a little bit introspective and be like, okay, what am I going to do with this? What's the world going to do? And I think that's important for listeners to remember, because whenever there's a challenge, there's two ways you can take it, right? You can take it as kind of defeating and, letting you down and you don't know where to go with it. Or you can say, okay, this is an opportunity. I just have to figure out what the opportunity
and
is.
Have those reserves.
So kudos to you for saying that.
Yeah, that too.
Kudos to you for having that mindset during then, because that was not an easy time to have a growth mindset and be positive about things. It was hard.
So, and if you have those reserves, then you have time to think, right? You don't have to freak out and react like, oh my goodness, everything's going down in flames. You have time to reassess, figure out what the best strategy is, and move forward. So what is it that is recommended? 6 months, have reserves of 6 months, right, for each property?
Hey landlords, are you ready to level up your rental game and simplify your life? Well, get ready to meet your new best friend, KeyCheck. KeyCheck is your all-in-one solution for stress-free property management with tenant-paid screenings, rent payment processing, online lease creation with eSign, and a suite of incredible landlord tools. You'll wonder how you ever lived without it. No more chasing down checks or sifting through piles of applications. KeyCheck helps you organize and manage all things landlording in a simple and efficient way. So if you're tired of the rental chaos and crave seamless, efficient management, head over to keycheck.com and sign up today. Make landlord life a breeze with KeyCheck, the game changer for modern property owners.
Yes, it is recommended. Yes. Yep. And then another thing that happened during COVID, the interest rates were not only low for regular home buyers, they were low for investors as well. So the condo that I bought back then was 4% interest rate,
right,
as an investor.
You're right.
That is unheard of.
Right.
That is unheard of.
Good point.
Literally.
Can you guys believe that was only like 3 years ago and change?
Right.
Wasn't that last
Can
year?
you believe
that?
COVID
was 3 years ago, but
no,
the interest
COVID.
rates
last and like when like the tank, like the bottom of the barrel of all those rates. Like, I mean, that is just mind-blowing to me. I was seeing some pictures the other day and it was like, we're going to have to show our kids that this really happened. People, all the COVID extremes that were happening. And I'm like, that was only 3.5 years ago. Like, that is bananas.
Yeah. That seems like a long time now. 3 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So
it is.
Wild.
We have made it to the heart of the episode. Your big takeaways. Get your notepad out or whatever it is you want to do to remember Angelina's advice here. So as a agent that sells $1 million in real estate, Angelina also takes those opportunities to walk her clients through the midterm rental process from start to finish. If they express interest or through her conversations, they decide, hey, based off of where you're at in life, where you're at financially, this is what we think is the best strategy for you. So I've got kind of the bullet points from our intro call of the different steps in the process, and we'll just hear what Angelina has to say about each. And maybe I missed some, Angelina, so if I missed any, please add them in. But number one is choosing the right location. So how do you work through that with your clients that say that you figure out are best for the midterm rental strategy?
From my experience and from others that are in this business, the 3 best areas in Atlanta would be the Camp Creek area, which is near the airport and it's easy to get to the city. Midtown, which has access to several hospitals, and it's close to a lot of restaurants, entertainment, things of that nature. And then Buckhead, which is the heart of Atlanta. That's where everybody wants to live. That's where everybody wants to go. And there are a lot of hospitals, access to hospitals there. Those are the three hot areas. So those are the three areas that I look in when my clients reach out to me and they're interested in midterm rentals.
So Camp Creek, Midtown, and Lenox.
Correct. Those are the three. Lenox is known as Buckhead as well.
Buckhead, yes.
And most of the time when nurses reach out, the first thing they want to know is entertainment. They want to be entertained when they're not asleep. The 4 days that they work 4 days, I think 10-hour shifts. And after that, they do want at least to see the city, because most of the time nurses are choosing Atlanta, not just to come here to work and because of the hourly salary. They want to see Atlanta as well. It's the opportunity to see a new city. So those are the areas where you're going to have the best entertainment and the closest to the airport and to medical facilities.
Love it. All right, now let's talk about giving clients choices.
Okay.
Do you need a prompt? Okay, let's go. Okay, so we're talking about how it can be move-in ready, but purchased at a higher price, or you can do a little bit of a DIY situation. So talk us through how you help kind of explain that to potential investors.
I call it sweat equity. Do you want the sweat equity? Do you want the sweat equity, or do you want you want the move-in ready? The sweat equity is going to give you equity moving in, but up front it's a lot more work. You got to go in and do a renovation project, but you'll be able to get in at a lower price. But then you have clients. I have clients that call me and they're in other states. They don't want to do all that. They just want a property that's already ready to go. They have money that they need to invest. And this time of year is going to be the time when I'm going to get the most calls, because people want to buy property so that they can write it off on their taxes next year. They're looking for a tax write-off. So those types of clients, they want move-in ready. They're okay with that. They got money they need to spend. Newer investors that have funds, or maybe they're on a certain budget, or they want numbers to match up a certain way, they're okay with the sweat equity. So that's usually what ends up happening as far as choices. I give each one of those types of clients the choice, but that's usually the way that each one of those clients would go.
And I think you also have some important aspects of those that the budget or the direction is a condo versus a single family home. So what do you kind of navigate and educate your clients on for the condo side of things to make sure that they're making a strong investment versus getting in there and realizing, HOA is not going to work with us on the renovations or on the midterm rental strategy, etc.
Yeah, first of all, you got to make sure that they allow rentals and that they allow midterm rentals. A lot of them now are structuring the lease where they want it to be for a certain length of time. So you want to make sure that you do that investigation up front, because you don't want to buy a condo and then you're constantly getting dinged from the HOA for renting it out incorrectly. That's number one with the condo. Number two, if you're going to do a renovation project, make sure that you check with the HOA and find out what that renovation project is going to entail. When you're dealing with condos, you have to get that project approved up front. And I ran into that issue by buying a condo. So I went through this first, and then I was able to walk my clients through it. So number one, if you buy on a floor that is not on the first floor, you have to make sure that you're putting down flooring that's going to be non-noise. I probably said that word wrong, but
like sound dampering.
Soundproof. That's what I was trying to say. Soundproof flooring, and it has to have the right type of padding underneath it so that it will be soundproof. So that has to be approved ahead of time with the HOA before you can move forward with that. If you're going to do any projects with the bathroom or the kitchen, you can't just turn the water, for a lot of buildings, you can't just turn the water off for your unit. The water has to be turned off for the building. So you have to get there to get that taken care of so that it's turned off at a certain period of time when no one's hardly using the water, and you can get your project done. Another thing is when you're trying to move in furniture, with condos, you have to book that ahead of time. So you got to make sure that you're 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time with booking that, and then you have to book the freight elevator as well in order to move in all of your stuff, and for your contractors to be able to move in all of the materials that they're going to be working with. So with condos, it's just a lot of upfront work that you need to make sure that you do your investigation on before you make the decide to go with a condominium.
Good points. I'm going to add one thing for the HOA portion of it is if your HOA does currently say that it allows anything over 30 days or even it allows short-term rentals. Well, it's important to understand how decisions can be made as well. Is it, a property management company that can make a change at the drop of a hat, and they have all the power, or is it all the homeowners in the condo association have to reach a certain number of votes to make a change? And that's where we're at with our two properties in Georgetown. It's part of an HOA, and it's a great HOA because it's anything 30-day plus, but it takes 80% of the owners to be able to make a change, and we get maybe 10 to 15 at the HOA meeting.
Yeah, you're never going to reach that.
We're never going to reach it. So our midterm rentals are protected. Where in Belton, oh, Katie, there's this lakefront condo complex with the cutest studios. All of them have waterfront views. So it sounded like that place you were describing, Angelina, but we can't invest there because there was an Airbnb party. Everyone, whatever happened, there was a decision that was made that said, nope, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to 6-month rentals only or more. And so could we embrace 6-month rentals? Potentially, but it's just not really worth it, right? So definitely know how changes can be made in your HOA.
And I think to add to that, and Angelina, I'm going to step out on a limb here and assume that this is something that you offer your clients as well as an agent, that you can rely on your agent to help you with these things, right? You don't need to go figure this out on your own. We own a property. One of our midterm rentals is a condo we own, and our agent knows us so well that before she even comes to us with the property, she's like, and I checked, midterms are okay.
Awesome.
Here's the restrictions on pets. Here's, the 411 on the HOA, because some HOAs are, depending on where you're at in the country, the structure of the building, the size, whatnot, some HOAs are very simple. Like I think the HOA docs for our condo are 6 pages.
Nice.
It's very simple. Whereas the HOA for our personal home, oh man, it's very elaborate. So you have all sorts of ranges, and I think it varies a lot regionally as well. But just know, the point is to kind of know what you're getting into and let your agent help you with that, because you guys are like magicians with that. I'm like, anytime I would try to I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to save my agent a question and I'm going to try to figure this out, because I have the HOA docs and I'm like, nope, this is terrible. I can't find it. But she could find it in the drop of a hat. So rely on them as a part of your team, because you also want to know, are pets okay? What size pets are okay? What are the policies around pets? Are there breed restrictions? Are there size restrictions? Can you have a boa constrictor? What are your limits here? So, okay. So Angelina, let's assume that you have a client that, they got their midterm rental. You guys have closed on the property. Now they're ready to furnish it. What type of tips would you give someone on furnishing their midterm rental? Because Kelly and I feel like could talk about furnishings all day.
I have had a lot of luck going. There's 2 rooms to go outlets here in Atlanta. And actually I have someone that works there, and I let him know when I'm getting another midterm or one of my clients is getting a midterm, and he starts pulling furniture and he starts sending stuff to me. He already dealt with my first midterm rental. When I just entered the store, I was like, let me try going here because I need to get furniture really fast. he already had experience with working with Airbnbs and midterm rentals. So he was like, no, you need to make sure you get a bed with a headboard that you can wipe down. Don't get a cloth. You know, you need to make sure the mattress has a mattress cover. So here's the mattress cover that you need to have for your mattress. Like he's the person that actually pulled things for me and will text me over furniture as it comes in. And that's where I get most of my furniture from. Um, what I always do with my properties, and I advise with my clients' properties, is neutral colors, but then you have other things that pop. Like I'm gonna have my rugs are gonna pop, my pillows are gonna pop, my bedding is gonna pop, but the rest of my furniture is gonna be neutral. But those popping colors look so good on pictures because you won't believe how the pictures the pictures are what these tenants are going to use to choose your property. So if you go in, even on Furnished Finder, I learned this recently. If someone reaches out to you and they're interested in your property, you can go in and see all of the properties that they've selected that were their favorites, and those are like my competition. So that's how I was able to go in and see what my competition was. So from my competition, I can see like, oh, they did this, they did that, and it's always the colors that seem to get that people are choosing. They never choose a unit that has bland colors. So that would be my recommendation.
You guys, the last 3 studios I got, they're all like in the same family of buildings. I put a green velvet couch in all
It's
3 of
beautiful.
them.
It's like emerald green,
And I
right?
was so nervous. But I was like, because I bought it online too. I was like, okay, this is either going to be really good or really bad, but it's so cute. I'm obsessed with it.
It is very cute, especially with the gold accents. I love emerald green and gold together.
Sometimes you got to stand out a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
I'm sure that's nice. Yeah.
All right. So, Angelina, now they have their property furnished. Let's talk them through the marketing. This is my love language here.
The marketing is Furnished Finder. I mean, once you put it on Furnished Finder, I mean, it's going to go. So the marketing that I do Furnished Finder. I also do Zillow. I also do Airbnb and VRBO. But I do the longer term stays for our VRBO and Airbnb. And like I said, believe it or not, Zillow has that option as well, and Zillow is good.
And it's back to free again. I like that.
Oh yeah, it is. For the first property, I thought it was. So is it still free if you do more than one property?
I don't know. I didn't look at that closely.
Okay, all right. So those are the 4 portals that I go to, and my properties stay booked, and so do my clients because I check in on them, and if they have a vacancy, we all kind of check in on each other, and we send people to each other and all of that as well. So once you work with me, it's almost like a little network of us who work together, and we try to make sure that our units stay booked.
A lot of people are doing that. We're hearing that over and over again of how many people like creating a network within their community because there's plenty of business to go around. You just have to be able to share and work together. And same thing with the guy who's feeding you all the furniture advice. It's like we hear at the heart of our show how much it's about relationships. It's like it's not about the house, it's not about the buildings. Now all of that comes together to make a great experience, but it's the person that has made the home what it is, right? It's those contacts that you build that grow your network. So I really love what you're saying because we hear that over and over again, how much relationships are at the core of midterm rentals.
And you touched on this a little bit earlier, but photography is one of the main parts of marketing your property. It's huge. We live in a visual world. We live in something where we want to be able to scroll quickly and see what there is to offer and say, yes, I'm interested, or no, I'm not. And I've noticed that a lot of your properties, you feature the kitchen first. Tell us why you do that.
Because well, the property where I featured the kitchen first it's one big room. And let's not forget, it's a basement unit. So I can't feature the front of the property. I have to focus on the best part of the property. So that's the reason why I featured it, because that kitchen ties into the living room. And I added, when we did a renovation project, I added an island because I felt like if you add an island, then that's less furniture that I have to get. That's an eating place. That's a place to sit and talk. And then it ties into the living room. So that's the reason why. And then we all know real estate 101, bathrooms and kitchens, that's what sells your home. Even when you're doing a renovation project, if you only renovated your bathroom and kitchen, that's going to sell that home. That is the most important feature of your home. And imagine if you were a travel nurse. Those are the two places that you're going to spend the most time with, and you're going to want to be clean and up to date. So that's the reason why I focused on it too.
All right, Kelly, what do you feature the most? At least I say the most or the most prevalent or first when you're thinking about the order of your photographs.
Definitely. I'm a firm believer of variety. So I will typically rotate mine. If mine is available and I'm like within the last 30 days, then I might rotate it once a week or once every couple days if it's getting close to the availability date. And sometimes I'll build, and I've seen a lot of people do it much better than I do, but like a collage type picture to put as a main photo. But my biggest advice for main photos is whenever you upload it, don't trust the way it looks when you upload from the upload screen. Go look at it on the live listing. Go look at it on your desktop version. Go look at it on the app version to make sure that you're getting the best visual, because all the photo displays are different sizes. Even within one site, you might have 3 different sizes.
Yeah. I have been also tinkering with mine. If I have a vacancy or I have a vacancy coming up, I will play with it. I've been putting as my first few photos whatever about the property I feel like stands out the most. And since I have a lot of studios, a lot of mine have been kind of like the wide angle shot that does show the kitchen, also shows the living area space, right? So it's just kind of like the overall, like, here is it all, because I feel like you get that wow factor. I think a lot of times with slightly larger properties, you really do get the wow factor with the bathroom or the kitchen, right? That's what we all want. But with some smaller properties, I think it's important not to show just a picture of the couch. I see that a lot when I'm looking through listings. Now, don't get me wrong. My green couch that I love so dearly, it has a real cute picture of it, because that's like, I don't know. It's just like, I just love that couch so much. And it's so cute and stylish, and it's also really comfortable, but that's not my main photo. My main photo is like, look at this space. Don't you want to come live here? Right. So I think it's also just like, what represents your property in the best way, right? Like what photo makes you want to learn more, or makes you want to inquire, or makes you want to stay there? That's the property. That's the picture that you should probably lead with. And if you don't have those, you guys hire a real estate photographer. They are so affordable, and they do such a good job. I mean, they do such a good job. So it is worth the investment. You make back the money that you spend on them so quickly. Like, if I had one tip that I could just give every single landlord, it would just be find a real estate photographer you love and just create that relationship. So, well, Angelena, it was so good to talk with you today. I love these episodes where we can get tips and action items that our landlords can take and put into place in their own practices and properties, especially, kind of low-hanging fruit that they can do quickly. So thank you so much. Can you tell everyone where they can find you if they want to connect with you and learn more?
Yes, I'm on Instagram, and my Instagram page is at Angie Real Estate. That's at Angie Real Estate.
And how do you spell Angie on there?
Angie Real Estate.
Love it. All right,
Perfect.
You guys. Well, as always, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to give us some feedback, ask some questions to Angelena. And also, we would appreciate your review. We'd appreciate it if you subscribed. Hang out with us more often so we can all up our landlording game.